Kirit Panwala, who is Rahul Gandhi's lawyer in this particular case. Mr. Panwala, thank you so much for being a part of this discussion. First of all, what came out of the court before the verdict was announced, after the final arguments were heard by the judge? What was the pronouncement that was made giving him on finding him convicted in this particular case, finding him guilty?
Firstly, court, found him to be guilty under section 499-500. And then we were heard about the punishment aspect. And after the punishment, he heard both the sides about the punishment. He inflicted 2 years punishment.
Right. Mr. Panwala, 2 years is the maximum sentence that can be given in a defamation suit. However, when it comes to the final arguments, and since this is a 4-year-old case that has been going on ever since 2019, there were accusations that are being leveled by the Congress party on how the judges have been changed in this particular case. What has been your own experience being with this case vis-a-vis Rahul's side?
I would not comment upon the transfer of judges and all that. I would stick myself to the legal points which are raised in the present case. And according to me, the judgment is totally erroneous and in a way shocking, because there are some basic points which the court ought to have considered. I have a cursory look of the judgment of the court, and I have found that he has not dealt with those points. Number one, Mr. Rahul Gandhi is a resident of Delhi, that is outside the jurisdiction of the court. And if that is so, then in year 2005, it was, the section 202 of the Code of Criminal Procedure was amended, and it was added that for the persons who are residing outside the jurisdiction of the court, then an inquiry has to be held, and only after the inquiry summons can be proceeded and trial can be proceeded against the person. Such inquiry, the examining of the witnesses, also has not been made in this case, and therefore there are certain judgments of the Supreme Court, the latest being of Deepak Gaba case, wherein the Supreme Court has stated that this is a mandatory provision and it ought to be followed. So far as Abhijit Pawar's case is concerned, in that case also it has been said that this point can be raised at any stage of the proceedings. If that is so, the court ought to have dealt with that point. Unfortunately, I am not finding any satisfactory dealing with this particular point. Secondly,
so, Mr. Panwala, was this part of your argument that you had placed before the court? Like I was mentioning,
it was part of my argument.
And you were saying all of that has not been accommodated before this verdict was pronounced.
Yes, in the judgment, it has not been dealt with properly.
Okay. And what is the second point that you were making, sir?
That particular point is not properly dealt with by the judge in the judgment.
No, I wanted to understand what is the next point that you're making, sir, when you go on to call this verdict erroneous.
Second point was about the Purnesh Modi, the complainant, was not an aggrieved person according to me, because the allegations were 90% against Sri Narendra Modi. And if they are against Narendra Modi, then Sri Narendra Modi has to file it personally. Normally, a criminal case can be started by anybody, initiated by anybody. But so far as defamation is concerned, only the aggrieved person can file it. An aggrieved person here is Sri Narendra Modi, who has not filed it. Secondly, even there is no Modi Samaj, or there is no organization of the persons whose name or surname is Modi. And if that is so, there are so many judgments of the Supreme Court that there should be an identifiable determinative group of the persons. And if the complainant is the member of such an identifiable and definite small group, then only he can file a complaint. But if there is nothing like Modi Samaj, or there is nothing, no organization of persons whose surname is Modi, then there is definitely no group of collections for which Sri Purnesh Modi could have filed a complaint.
Okay.
So that was our second point.
Okay.
Even there is no satisfactory answer by the judge.
Okay. So this verdict that's come out, Mr. Panwala, from the Surat District Court, the precedents that it is setting, do you think after this particular verdict, any sort of a speech made as part of political discourse in rallies are going to be brought under the jurisprudence? They are going to be actually, a plea can be filed against any sort of speech which is deemed a dissent against any particular political party, and this is a precedence that this verdict will go on to set?
Exactly. That is why I have said that this is a shocking judgment. I have gone through so many judgments of the higher courts, but I have not found even a single case where the maximum punishment of 2 years may have been inflicted. I have not laid my hand on any of such judgment. So you are absolutely right when you say that this is going to make out a very bad precedent. And suppose that these particular things were uttered. Suppose the complainant was aggrieved person. Still, the punishment is to such an extent that it has to be taken as extremely excessive, highly, according to me, atrocious.
Okay. And this point that you're making, Mr. Panwala, about an aggrieved person going ahead and filing a defamation suit. In this case, that was not the case with Mr. Purnesh Modi going to the court, appearing and going ahead and filing this plea. Is this a normal sort of an exercise that can be done in the case of defamation suits? Can another third party go ahead and file a defamation case against a person?
Normally, aggrieved person, meaning thereby that defamatory statements are against the person, only that person can file a complaint. That's true. But the law has given certain power to certain other persons also for if nothing has happened against them, still they can file if they are able to prove that they are member of a certain collection of persons. And this collection of persons should be, as I said, definite, determinative, and identifiable group. Here, Modi Samaj or Modi surname people, there is no identifiable group, and that has come very vividly during the course of the trial. And therefore, I say that this point is not satisfactorily dealt with by the judge.
Okay. Does Rahul Gandhi face immediate